Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources and, well, really dig into them to pull out the most interesting knowledge, the best insights.
Mhm.
And today, we're doing something fascinating. We're focusing on just one source, but it's a really powerful one. It's an interview with someone who took a very, very unexpected route to becoming a software engineer in New York.
That's right. And our mission really is to unpack what we can learn from this personal story. We're looking at how things like resilience, being adaptable, just being open to change, how those things can forge a career path that's unique, but also, really fulfilling.
Yeah.
You're going to hear about some quite dramatic things, natural disasters, really important conversations that just completely shifted their life's direction.
Okay, let's dive in then. Let's unpack this journey and maybe start with a really extraordinary high school experience.
Yeah.
So our interviewee, they were a high school senior back in Sichuan. This was 2008, just about a month, maybe less, before their Gaokao, that huge college entrance exam.
Incredibly high stakes.
Exactly. But then, bam, life throws this massive curveball, the 5/12 earthquake.
And what's really striking when you read their account is their initial reaction. They actually say they were surprisingly calm.
Really? Calm.
Yeah, apparently the very last person to leave the classroom. It was only when the building started shaking violently, when they could barely even stand up straight on the playground outside, that the severity really hit them.
Wow. I can't imagine.
It just shows how quickly reality can shift, right?
Totally. And picture this. They run out to an open field, and then nothing. Phone signal's completely gone.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't reach their parents. They ended up having to stay at the school until maybe 8 or 9 p.m. that night.
That must have been terrifying.
Yeah, eventually got in touch with family, and then school suspended for about 2 weeks.
And when they went back, they couldn't even use the classrooms.
Too damaged.
So what did they do? They literally set up desks and chairs out in the corridors, studying for the Gaokao right there in the hallway.
Studying for the biggest exam of your life. In a corridor.
It makes you wonder, how do you even focus
Yeah.
under those kinds of conditions, that level of uncertainty?
Yeah.
And the source mentions aftershocks, too. They even had to sleep in tents on the school playground for a while.
Intense.
Yeah, sometimes it was boiling hot. One time there was heavy rain. They said eventually they just got, quote, accustomed to the small earthquakes.
That's resilience on another level.
Yeah.
So, okay, all this disruption, this chaos, what did it actually mean for the Gaokao itself? Did they even take it?
Well, here's where it gets interesting. If you look at the bigger picture, the earthquake actually split Sichuan into two separate exam zones.
Okay.
And in their region, surprisingly, the exam wasn't delayed. And even more surprising, they found the questions very simple, scored really well.
Simple. After all that.
Yeah, apparently. Which was a stark contrast to other areas, the ones hit harder, where the exams were delayed and supposedly much more difficult.
Huh.
So this completely unexpected outcome meant that despite the devastation, the earthquake didn't actually derail their college application process. Just wild.
Absolutely wild. Okay, so they get through that, get into university. Now, they mentioned having an interest in computer science earlier, right? Like high school competitions.
Yeah, they did.
So for university, they chose information management. The thinking was, okay, this sounds like a good mix. Computer science plus management.
Makes sense on paper.
Right.
But the question is, did the reality actually match up to that expectation?
Whoa.
Well, they found out pretty quickly their university was much more tilted towards liberal arts and management. So the major ended up being way more management focused than technical. The science part, the tech content, it felt kind of watered down was the phrase they used.
So it sounds like university wasn't this super intense academic grind, at least not in the way they might have expected with a tech-related major.
Yeah, that seems right. They actually spent a lot of time doing other things, student activities, clubs, that sort of thing.
Oh, and the exchange program, too. They did half a year abroad during their junior year.
Exactly. So it was more a period of, let's say, broad exploration rather than deep focused specialization in that particular field.
Which kind of makes sense, given what came next.
Right. This whole period, maybe being less intensely focused on that specific major, it sort of set the stage for the next big move, which was thinking about grad school abroad.
It shows how experiences that don't seem directly related can still kind of pave the way, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Laying groundwork you don't even realize at the time.
Okay, so before going abroad, there's another interesting step. They took a year-long internship during their senior year. Marketing, right, at a foreign company in Beijing.
Yeah, and they were pretty upfront about why. So they basically just wanted to earn some money.
Fair enough.
And they were just curious, what's work actually like? So they applied kind of randomly, ended up in marketing.
And what was that like, the initial impression?
Well, at first, they described it as fresh and fun,
Mm.
even fancy for that time.
Okay, a bit glamorous.
Maybe a little bit. But as time went on, they realized, it's mostly admin tasks. Making spreadsheets, putting together slides. Not really, as they put it, meaningful work.
Right. The honeymoon phase wore off.
Pretty much. But here's the thing. They actually got an offer to stay on full-time after the internship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they genuinely considered taking it, thinking, okay, maybe this could lead to an MBA later, that kind of path.
That makes sense. It's a solid offer, a clear path.
Exactly. But then, this is where it gets really interesting. Despite having that offer on the table, there was this one conversation with their former boss. And that conversation became a huge turning point.
Okay, tell me about this conversation. What happened?
Well, this boss shared something really personal. They had actually tried to study abroad themselves back in 2001.
Right after 9/11.
Exactly. And because of 9/11, all U.S. visas were rejected. They couldn't go. And it left them with this deep, lifelong regret.
Oh.
So drawing on that experience, they really strongly advised our interviewee, saying, you're young, go out, see the world, don't end up with regrets like me.
That's powerful advice, coming from personal experience like that.
Absolutely. It wasn't just generic advice. It was rooted in their own history, their own missed opportunity. And hearing that personal story, that's what really cemented the decision. They decided, okay, I'm going abroad.
So that advice really hit home. They packed their bags, head to the U.S., and initially they're sticking with the plan, right? Master's in information management.
Yep, that was the initial plan.
Yeah.
But pretty quickly, they realized, uh-oh, déjà vu.
Not again. What was it this time?
The U.S. program, it turned out, was also pretty heavy on the liberal arts side. Lots of reading, tons of essays.
Which must have been extra tough.
Oh, yeah. Especially struggling a bit with English proficiency at the time. It was a real challenge. Not quite the technical deep dive they were hoping for.
So the path they thought they were on, it wasn't quite right either. This leads to a big question then. How did they find what was right when this new path was also kind of a mismatch?
Right. And the answer is kind of unexpected. It came from their roommates.
Their roommates?
Yeah, they had two roommates who were both doing computer science. And these roommates just kept telling them how great CS was.
Persistent roommates.
Very. They described it as really science-focused, a field with a good future. And this was around 2012, 2013.
Right before the big mobile internet boom really took off.
Exactly. Good timing. So their roommates were really persuasive.
So what happened? Did they just switch?
Well, they were persuaded enough to try out a couple of CS classes first, just dip their toes in.
Okay, sensible.
And they found them fun. Actually enjoyable.
Ah, the fun factor.
It makes a difference. So based on that, they made a really bold move. They decided, okay, forget information management. I'm switching majors entirely to computer science.
Wow, okay. That's a big change mid-masters. How did they even manage that?
They had to get recommendation letters from the CS professors whose classes they'd taken, applied to transfer internally.
Right.
But they did it. They successfully transferred.
That's incredible.
And they ultimately graduated with that master's in computer science.
That's quite a pivot.
It really was. They actually describe it as a bet, a significant bet, especially having already started another program.
Yeah, I can see why. But it sounds like the bet paid off.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It led directly to where they are now, a software engineer. It just highlights that sometimes you need that courage, right, to make a sharp turn when you realize you're not on the right path.
Definitely. Okay, so looking back at this whole winding journey, I mean, you've got the earthquake shaking up high school, the university major not being quite right, the marketing internship detour, then this huge pivot in grad school. What's their philosophy now after all that?
Yeah, it's really striking. They actually describe themselves as someone who, quote, doesn't have a special plan for the future.
Interesting. After everything, no grand plan.
Nope. And their core advice, which you can really see reflected in their actions, is basically to be open-minded.
Okay.
They elaborate a bit. Just take whatever life gives you. Basically, whatever life gives you, you take it, you explore more, enjoy your life.
Take what life gives you.
Yeah. And they look back at university, for example, even though the major wasn't perfect, and they say they found those years genuinely fun. They feel like they didn't miss out on anything by not sticking to some rigid plan.
So it's not just about being flexible. It sounds like it's more active than that, like engaging with whatever comes up.
Exactly. It's an active openness and exploration.
So, how did that mindset, that philosophy ultimately connect to their career path and I guess their satisfaction now?
Well, it raises that big question, doesn't it? How do we find the thing we're meant to do? For them, they reflected that they didn't really know what they wanted initially,
Yeah.
but life just sort of pushed them gradually. Each step, even the detours, led them to understand themselves a bit better, understand their interests more deeply.
So, it was an evolution.
A total evolution from that kind of vague interest in computers back in high school to now actually loving their work as a software engineer. It's a path they absolutely couldn't have pictured, say, 10 years prior.
And they're happy now in the role.
Yeah, they're in New York working as a software engineer. They say they really enjoy the work, feel like they're constantly learning new things.
That's great. What about the pressure? Tech can be intense.
They describe the pressure as manageable. They even mention the potential for, 996 hours, that intense 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. meter, 6 days a week schedule you sometimes hear about. But even with that possibility, they seem okay with it.
Wow. So, looking back, any regrets about the marketing, the first master's attempt, the big switch?
Apparently not. No regrets about any of it. Even that big bet to switch to computer science, they say that turned out particularly well.
You can say that again.
Yeah. And if they could go back in time, tell their high school self anything.
Let me guess. Be open-minded.
You got it. That same philosophy. To be open-minded. Just take whatever life gives you.
Yeah.
You take it, you explore more, enjoy your life.
What an incredible deep dive that was. A life really shaped by these huge external events like the earthquake, but also by this really powerful internal stance, just being open to change. Their journey, it really underscores how resilience, that adaptable mindset, it can lead you down unexpected roads to somewhere, well, deeply fulfilling.
Indeed. It's such a powerful reminder, isn't it, that maybe not having a super rigid plan,
Yeah.
maybe that's actually the best plan sometimes.
Yeah.
It allows you the space to discover passions, find opportunities you just never would have seen otherwise, simply by being receptive.
So as you, our listener, reflect on this deep dive, here's something to think about, maybe a provocative thought. In your own life right now, what unplanned opportunities might you be overlooking? Maybe just because they don't quite fit the neat path you've imagined for yourself. What bet could you take? What unexpected turn could you maybe embrace that might just lead to something truly extraordinary, something deeply fulfilling for you?